TV in the sky died.
City County Planning Commission, please come to order. Ms. Martin, would you please call the roll?
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner Rich, Commissioner Vitale, Commissioner Balance, Commissioner Clark, Commissioner Unseld, Commissioner Graham,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Volkert, Commissioner Gay,
Ma'am.
Commissioner Warren,
Ma'am.
Commissioner Madison,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Houston, Chair Runner.
Ma'am. Any corrections to the summary minutes of the December 19th meeting? Being none, I'd ask for a motion.
Move.
Thank you. In a second, thank you.
Commissioner Balance, Commissioner Clark, Commissioner Unseld, Commissioner Graham,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Volkert, Commissioner Gay,
Ma'am.
Commissioner Warren,
Ma'am.
Commissioner Madison,
Ma'am.
Commissioner Houston,
Yes, ma'am.
Chair Runner.
Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Runner, would you please
order that the record include all statutory and regulatory provisions pertaining to tonight's hearings, the Commission's entire file for each application, and that the qualifications for each staff witnesses be included. Finally, I'd request that you administer the oath to those witnesses.
So ordered. Swear to tell the truth before this commission. Thank you both. Any questions on the subdivision and site development plans in the packet? No questions? Letters of credit and performance bonds, we have one item. Any questions on that item? No questions, and we need a motion.
Move.
Thank you, and a second, please.
Commissioner Balance? Yes. Commissioner Clark?
Yes.
Commissioner Unseld? Commissioner Graham?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Volkert? Commissioner Gay? Commissioner Warren?
Ma'am.
Commissioner Madison?
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Houston? Chair Runner?
Yes, ma'am. We don't have any unfinished business, and the only item we have tonight, the one and only for a public hearing, is docket number 2020-01DP, Gary Investments LLC, the Sheldon Family LLC, and Cave Mill Station LLC have filed an application to amend the general development plan, which is the development plan conditions, on tracts of land containing approximately 6.3669 acres located at 1823 Cave Mill Road and properties on both sides of the intersection of Cave Mill Road and Cave Mill Station Boulevard. Property is zoned highway business with a general development plan, and we'll hear the staff report from Ms. Hurt.
Thank you, Chair Runner. We had a pre-application conference on November the 13th for the property you just mentioned on Cave Mill Road. The development plan that's proposed to be amended this evening encompasses the parcels that are outlined in yellow on your screen. And the current zoning of the property is highway business. The properties were rezoned to highway business in 2008. The properties are currently vacant and commercial. And the future land use designation for the properties is mixed use residential. I will note that there's there's an error on the future land use map. This portion of the property was removed from the floodplain through a letter of map amendment in 2007. So that is an error. Just wanted to mention the property is not in the floodplain. But I will read the future land use map description. It's on page 2 of your staff report. This category applies to mixed use areas where taken as a whole, the primary land use is residential in a variety of housing types and densities, balanced by complementary retail, office, institutional, and civic uses. The distribution of land among these various activities shall be implemented through specific zoning with standards addressing the form and character of development to ensure compatibility. This designation applies to the historic core of downtown Bowling Green, or urbanized areas being redeveloped with a primary use as residential where complementary commercial and services are provided in a contiguous area. Here, development standards should be tailored to emphasize an urban character and a mix and intensity of development appropriate to this unique center of activity. When proposed as part of a mixed-use development, commercial uses should comprise only 25% of such development, and standalone commercial development should not exceed 10% of any contiguous area designated as mixed-use residential. No commercial footprint should exceed 10,000 square feet, and compatibility should be assessed by applying the policies in LU 113 in conjunction with a general development plan. Moving on, let me jump to the concept that was submitted. So one of the major changes proposed with this development plan amendment actually relates to access to the property. So under the site characteristics review, I'm just going to note the transportation infrastructure. The development does have frontage on Cave Mill Road, which you can see is along this portion of the screen here. So Cave Mill Road is a city-maintained urban major collector with 100 feet of right-of-way and pavement width that varies. And the development also has frontage on Cave Mill Station Boulevard, which is this entrance right here off of Cave Mill. Cave Mill Station Boulevard is a city-maintained urban local roadway with 60 feet of right-of-way and pavement width that varies. So one of the proposed changes with this development plan amendment is to amend the required distance from the intersection with Cave Mill Road. The current binding elements or development plan conditions require that the nearest entrance from that intersection be located at least 300 feet from the intersection, which is right here. The proposed amendment incorporates an entrance here, which is located only 175 feet from the main intersection. There are a few other housekeeping items, I believe, that are also proposed. I'll go over those on page 3. So the changes are shown in bold, and I'm only going to go over the items that are proposed to change. So number 5, you'll see that the requirement that says the system shall include 4-foot sidewalks located at each of the buildings. The original development plan from 2008 incorporated almost 170,000 square feet of commercial and retail space split into 2 buildings. So when the property was originally rezoned, the sidewalk requirement was intended to serve those larger buildings, similar to what you would see like at the Fairview Shopping Center or Greenwood Square, in those larger big box areas where you would have that need for pedestrian connections among the different storefronts. So that's no longer the plan. As you can see with the most recent plat that was recorded, and then back on the aerial here, you can see that now there's, I guess a desire to split the frontage there into multiple commercial parcels versus one larger development. So that is proposed to be removed. Next, there's a change proposed in number 9, adding a prohibition on the fueling of Class 9 vehicles, which if you look at the Federal Highway Administration's definition of Class 9 vehicles, those are your semi-trucks, with fuel deliveries being exempted. So if there, for example, was a fueling station or convenience store with fuel, that wouldn't exempt the semi-truck from coming and delivering the fuel, but it would prohibit semi-trucks from filling up at that location. So when the property was rezoned in 2008, that was not a permitted use in highway business, but the ordinance changed in 2018 to allow fueling of semis or larger vehicles, as long as there was not a dedicated parking area for that type of vehicle. So it is currently allowed in highway business, and the applicants are proposing to prohibit that as part of the application. And then last, number 10, which I just touched on a second ago. I'll go back to the exhibit here. Again, the proposed change would allow an entrance as close as 175 feet from the intersection with Cave Mill Road. And then the last sentence added states that the development may also continue to utilize the existing access point that is shared. This was the plat that was recorded when the application was submitted, but there has been a newer plat recorded. So that's basically referencing this existing entrance that's shown on the plat. It's shown on the aerial as well. If I jump back, you can see that here. That's the current entrance that serves the Dollar. No, it's the entrance here that serves the Dollar General store.
Okay.
And so that's not currently permitted by the development plan conditions. Not really sure how that came to be. Apparently it was overlooked at some point in time when Cave Mill Station Boulevard was being constructed. As far as our aerials can show us, that was sometime around 2011. But this would clean up that development plan condition and allow that existing entrance to remain. Those are all of the proposed changes. I'll jump back to page 4 here. Section 312.8 of the zoning ordinance outlines the requirements for a development plan amendment and states that an amendment to any development plan condition for an approved development plan shall be approved only if the proposed amendment remains consistent with the adopted comprehensive plan, and upon a finding that there have been major changes of an economic, physical, or social nature within the area of the property in question which were not anticipated at the time of the adoption of the general development plan or development plan conditions which are being amended, or that there have developed physical conditions which would not permit development of property in question in accordance with the general development plan or development plan conditions that are being amended. And so the applicant provided the sentence at the bottom in italics there that states that at the original zoning, there was no stoplight at the intersection of Cave Mill Road and Cave Mill Station Boulevard, and that Public Works approves the binding element amendment. And staff does have correspondence from the Public Works Department with the proposed access being located closer to the intersection. So they've reviewed the proposed changes and have said that they're okay with those. Moving on to the Focus 2030 category review. There were 5 applicable items based on the proposed amendment that were reviewed from the comprehensive plan. The first 2, LU 111 and 112, which relate to the future land use map. The Planning Commission should determine if the proposed changes to the development plan remain consistent with the future land use map and the mixed-use residential category. LU 113 looks at compatibility. The Planning Commission should determine if the proposed changes to the development plan are compatible with the area. And then last, LU 231 and TR 2.1, which are transportation considerations. And the proposed development plan amendment does comply with these as it relates to access and has been preliminarily reviewed and approved by the Public Works Department. And with that, I'll go back to page 1 and wrap up with the points to consider. First, the development is designated as mixed-use residential on the future land use map. The current highway business zone is not listed as a potentially compatible zoning designation in this category. The Planning Commission should determine if the proposed development plan amendment impacts compliance with the future land use map. Next, the proposed development complies with the applicable criteria addressed in the site characteristics review. And then last, the proposed development plan amendment complies with the majority of the review criteria for site design, and compatibility of the proposed changes should be determined by the Planning Commission. That's all I have. I know Mr. Cook's here. If you have any questions for him, I'm happy to answer any questions as well.
Thank you, ma'am. Questions?
Just one question. I want to make sure I understand. So the reason for the change from 300 feet to 175 feet is that there was no traffic light installed at the time of the first zoning, and so that reduces the requirement for 300 feet?
The applicant may want to speak more to that. That was just the information they provided in their application. I'm not sure if that's what's brought the change about. It's my understanding there's just a proposed use that may want an entrance closer than that. And here we are, I guess, over 10 years later, and the Public Works Department has reviewed it, and there may be something that's not known at this time now that was not known then, and for whatever reason they've allowed the proposed entrance at this location.
So you're aware of no requirement to keep it at 300 feet, correct?
Correct.
Any other questions for Ms. Hurd? Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anything the applicant would like to add? Do we have any questions for the applicant? Yes, if we have a question for the applicant, if you come forward, please, we'll get your name and address.
James Cook, 177 South Wind Drive.
And you swear to tell the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Cook, I guess my question is, in order for us to find this to go forward, there have to have been some major changes of economic, physical, or social nature within the area of property in question. And just changing the entrance doesn't look to be a major economic, physical, or social nature issue. So what is the major change?
Well, the major change, to my recollection, was we've got 3 hotels across the street now. We've got, I'm not sure there was a bank on that corner or not when we got the original zoning. But the area has just grown considerably since the original zoning.
James, were the apartments built yet in the back?
Yes, the Chandlers were. Yes,
No.
they were.
No. Thompson's.
No.
I don't think they were built yet.
No.
Either. Okay. And there's more units coming, if I remember correctly.
Right, about 180, I think.
180, so you'll have about 400 units there.
Like 100, no, 100. There were 128 on the
223.
228. 228. You're right, and 180. You're right.
Any other questions?
And Mr. Cook, you have coordinated with Public Works on this, on the 175-foot entrance?
Yes, and they approved it.
Okay.
And I think Rachel's got the email.
And I imagine that's just for better accessibility for the businesses that we're going to
Correct.
go from. Okay.
Any other questions? Do we have any questions from anyone in the audience? Do we have any opposition to this request? No questions, no opposition. I'll ask for a motion, please.
Make the motion to approve the proposed general development plan amendment docket number 2020-01 DP based upon the testimony and the documents presented in this public hearing. Proposed general development plan amendment is consistent with the Focus 2030 comprehensive plan. It's demonstrated by its compliance with objective and action items presented in the staff report. Further, I also find that there have been major changes of economic, physical, and social nature within the area of the property in question, and I request the findings of facts and recommendation include a summary of evidence and testimony presented by the witnesses at this public hearing.
Thank you. We need a second. Thank you.
Commissioner Unseld,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Graham,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Clark, Commissioner Balance,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Gay, excuse me,
Ma'am.
Commissioner Vogert,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Warren,
Ma'am.
Commissioner Houston,
Yes, ma'am.
Commissioner Madison,
Ma'am.
Chair Runner.
Yes, ma'am, and the motion carried. Thank you. Have any new business, sir? Anything from the commissioners, other than Happy New Year? Nothing else? Meeting's adjourned. Thank you all.